Tonight's public hearing is in Hunter Mill District. This is Comstock Reston Station Holdings LC, SE-2025-HM-00001. Commissioner Carter is our lead commissioner on this, and I believe we have Ms. Quinn with us. So before turning to Ms. Quinn, there is an affidavit. Will representative the applicant please come forward, identify yourself for the record, and reaffirm your affidavit.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm Jill Parks on behalf of the applicant, and I reaffirm the affidavit dated December 29th, 2025.
Thank you, Ms. Parks. Are there any disclosures from the Commission? Hearing no disclosures, may we have a staff report, please, Ms. Quinn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Katie Quinn with the Department of Planning and Development. This is a special exception application to amend a previously approved sign plan for the Reston Station and Reston Row developments. The 17.55 acre site is zoned PDC and is within a quarter mile of the Wheelie-Reston East Metro Station. Reston Row and Reston Station are transit-oriented mixed-use developments that are both subject to one consolidated comprehensive sign plan. Reston Station is partially developed with 6 buildings known as Buildings 1 through 6. Reston Row is developed with 4 buildings known as Buildings A through D. The application proposes several new signs, which are shown here. The new signs include an electronic sign next to the Building 5 parking garage, a kinetic sign on Building D, wayfinding signs, and parking loading signs. The application would also modify colors and fonts of several previously approved signs. This slide shows the approved signs on the top and the proposed modifications on the bottom. Previous approvals permitted 16 unique tenant signs along the Dulles Toll Road, highlighted here in blue. The application would replace 5 of the previously approved unique tenant signs with 1 new digital sign, shown here with the dashed line. The digital sign would be 1,800 square feet and would include 5 tenant logos that are 200 square feet each. Staff's proposed development conditions would require the digital sign to always have a black background, except for the 5 tenant logos, which could change once per day. No video or audio is permitted, and the digital screen must be reduced to 155 nits at night. Previous approvals permitted 2 non-electronic 450 square feet signs at the top of Building C, also known as the JW Marriott building. Unfortunately, sign permits were permitted and issued in error to allow installation of 2 digital signs with LED panels approximately 2,000 square feet each and 240 square foot logos. The installed electronic signs currently have a nighttime illumination of 300 nits. The installed signs have been included in this application. Staff's proposed development conditions would require the installed signs to always have a dark background and a maximum 240 square foot logo as shown on the approved sign permit. Video and audio would not be permitted, and nighttime illumination must be reduced to 155 nits. Staff recommends approval of the application subject to the development conditions now dated January 13th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Quinn. Would the applicant wish to make a presentation? Ms. Parks?
Thank you. Okay. In 2010, Comstock entitled, and in 2018 modestly amended the Reston Station project. Ultimately, 1.45 million square feet of density in 7 buildings on 2 development blocks, 1 and 2, which is now substantially complete. In order to extend the established Reston Station development north, in 2018, Comstock entitled, and then later in 2020, 2023, and 2025 amended the Reston Row rezoning, which was originally known as Reston Station Promenade, on 8.5 acres of land, now at a 4.44 FAR and up to 1.6 million square feet of development, in 4 buildings, A through D, plus a standalone retail pad known as the Jewel Box. Comstock is fortunate to have opened the project this fall with a slate of top-tier anchor tenants: JW Marriott, Vita Fitness, Ebbett House, and as recently announced, Booz Allen, who has agreed to consolidate and relocate its global headquarters to Reston Row, a decision that, according to its spokesperson, reflects its commitment to investing in an innovative and optimized company with the new HQ designed to support its advanced technology capabilities and national missions. Just to give you a little background on the signage timeline, in 2016, the Planning Commission approved, and then in 2019, twice amended the first comprehensive sign plan, which included specific signs for each of the buildings within Reston Station. In 2022, once Comstock secured all the entitlements for Reston Row, it designed and prosecuted a more comprehensive plan for the 17.5-acre Reston Station, Reston Row neighborhood, which we refer to as the neighborhood sign plan. And the neighborhood sign plan included project branding and placemaking signage, reflecting more distinctive placemaking and art concepts, tenant signage, and multimodal directional signage. That plan was later modestly amended in 2023 to move a single sign, and then in 2024, a determination was made by the zoning administrator that certain digital placemaking signs could be consolidated and artistically redesigned. Other than that, the 2022 neighborhood sign plan remains intact. Having substantially completed build-out of the neighborhood and made final design decisions with its key anchor tenants, Comstock is now proposing a modest amendment to the neighborhood sign plan to add the finishing touches to the project. The changes fall into two basic categories: project identity and wayfinding, with one change proposed to the residential building signs. I'm going to go really quickly through sort of this list of changes, but we are requesting one new Reston Station project sign at the top of the JW Marriott. This is a non-digital, static 330 project sign. We are requesting a garage screen option for one facade on Building 5. This is a digital option, and we oriented it vertically at staff's request, and we agreed to make it much smaller than it's currently approved. It'll be 220 feet instead of 360 or 450. We're asking for two A5 project signs to anchor the intersections of Road A and Reston Station Boulevard and Road A and Sunset Hills Road. And we're adding an artistic placemaking kinetic wall for Reston Row that mirrors the existing one at Reston Station. It's 325 square feet. It's made from very small metal panels and are meant to move in the wind. There are two signs per residential building that were approved with the neighborhood plan, two already installed at Boulevard at Reston Station, and we're asking to increase the two at Reston Row to accommodate the building name, which is going to be named for Chris Clemente's daughter. Next, the rest of the series is all essentially wayfinding. We are looking for garage entrance identity signs. There are 5 design options that were approved, 3 of which are Metro Garage specific. We're adding a 6th option that would provide the number of spaces available in real time, just like Reston Town Center and Tyson's Corner Center. We are adding wayfinding for pedestrians per Commissioner Carter's request. We're proposing one in the corner park, so when people come into the project from Wheelie and Sunset Hills Road, they know where to go. The other is at Road A and Reston Station Boulevard for people coming from the Metro or from Reston Station. In response to county and community complaints, we're proposing 18 signs directing vehicles to key project points, i.e. accessible entrances, parking, deliveries, etc. And we have one new sign type, which is 4 building-mounted blade signs proposed for delivery trucks to avoid conflicts with vehicles and pedestrians. In 2022, the world emerged from COVID, and Comstock developed a new class of signs intended to be offered to marquee tenants associated with the full Reston Station, Reston Row neighborhood, which would allow it to deftly deal-make and fill the project with the most interesting, dynamic, and synergistic collection of tenants that it could. And it worked. Over the next few years, high-profile anchor tenants such as the JW Marriott, Ebbett House, and Booz, among others, signed on. To that end, in 2022, 16 D1 or unique tenant signs along the project's Dulles Toll Road frontage were approved in the neighborhood sign plan, 5 on the connector between office buildings 2 and 3, while the others are located on office buildings 2 and 3. The applicant is not asking for any more signs with this application. The applicant is only proposing to digitize an 1,800 square foot portion of the 3,136 square foot connector to facilitate less disruptive and more efficient replacement of tenant logos, as and if they demand. It's critical to note that the neighborhood sign plan is incredibly important for the global headquarters of Booz Allen, one of Fairfax County's major employers, and the digitalization of the connector is key to its branding. Booz sees it as critical to its ability to engage with its customers, stakeholders, and the community in the face of current headwinds. I do want to notice that Ms. Quinn said that the signs can't change more than once a day. It is not our intent to change them even remotely that often. It's meant to accommodate the tenants changing logos as and if they need them. Having created a bona fide destination and then given it a distinctive project identity, Comstock is now responsible for helping its major tenants attract customers, increase exposure, and strengthen their brands. Providing dynamic and competitive signage opportunities also leads to better leasing, tenant retention, increased property values, and the creation of spaces that are attractive and functional for residents and businesses, all major benefits, particularly for the county, both as the governing body and as Reston Station's landlord. With a recommendation of approval from staff, we respectfully request your favorable recommendation of this application to the board. That's where my presentation concludes. But I want to go off script, if you'll bear with me for just a minute. Because I spoke with Supervisor Alcorn's office this morning. I spoke to Commissioner Carter, and I received a number of letters from the community indicating that they had some concerns with the approved JW Marriott signs. This is what I want to say. Those signs, right, were approved in conformance with the zoning ordinance, the levels of nits being 300. They were permitted at 300. They are at those levels, at or below those levels today. Because of the concerns expressed by staff and Walter's office and the community, the staff has included development conditions with this case that add restrictions to those already approved NIT levels. We can do 300 now. The development conditions require us to do 155. So I think it's important to note for all of you and for the community that those who think this case should not be approved, if it's not approved, the sign stays the way that it is because it's in conformance with the zoning ordinance and with the permits. It's only if you approve this case that includes development conditions which lower the NIT levels from 300 to 155 that the community gets a less bright sign up there. I think that's important to point out. And I'll take any questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Parks. Commissioners, questions? Start off with Commissioner Carter.
A couple things worth saying. I accept that last challenge. We'll see where we're going with that. This is a test of our sign ordinance. We have not, I don't believe, had signs done using the NIT standard. So this is a test for that. It's a test for what happens when things don't work out perhaps the way we might like them. It's a test for our review process. And it's a test for this project because this project goes back at least 15 years. And so it started out as a 2,300 space parking garage only by Fairfax County. Then it flipped into a joint development case with Fairfax County and Comstock building the first block. And the design view at that time was an insular view. So the open space is on the inside. Let's not pay any attention to the streets, have it not quite accessible, quite sort of hidden from the community, to the next phase, which kind of flipped it around the other way. So we've had different design standards going over time and 15 years, and here we are with sign plans. I don't know how many sign plans, I didn't count them, but I know I've done probably 3 of them.
More than that.
I think it boils down to, so we have 3 different things to look at. I think that this is, and these are questions, but also statements. There's the on-site signage. So is it appropriate for actually identifying the businesses. Then there's the regulatory signage, stop signs, those kinds of things. And then there's directional signings, or some people call them wayfinding signs. So there's three aspects of this. I think for this project, some of these are in place, and so we're not changing those, and those mostly tend to be on-site down around the street. Those seem to be less controversial. The ones where in question are the two signs. One's the digital sign that's facing the Dulles Toll Road, which was improved in the last time. And the second one is the two signs on the top of the Marriott building sign. Now, in some cases, and we know not just in Fairfax County, but in D.C., it's been the practice to let's just go ahead and build things, and we'll ask for permission later. And that's a little bit what this is, but the applicant in this case, and this is what Joe Parks was talking about, things were approved in the past, and so the county attorney has already told me to be careful, Mr. Carter, about going too far with undoing something that was a previous approval, even if it was done in error. So in this case, rather than building it and then coming back later and asking for permission, this is an applicant who maybe do some changes, and there are some that are made. In terms of the ones that facing the Dulles Access Road, to be clear, changing the size a bit. No video, no sound, no flashing signs, no changing by the minute, changing once per day. So there are some changes. On the Marriott sign, and I was over there last night, if you want to see what this looks like, I do have some photos. We don't have a way of showing those, but it's a departure from what's out there, and I think the existing is poorly designed to be nice, but not very neighborly to be not so nice, both in two aspects. One, it does shine in the adjacent neighborhood, but also the adjacent commercial areas. It's out of step with the other commercial signs. It's this background that is lighter and almost obscures the lettering and the sign, and there's hot spots on it. And so that's the first one that I've seen on the Dulles Corridor. And I don't want to start a food fight over commercial signs in the Dulles Corridor. So we're relying a lot on the numbers. So we're going this NIT issue, which I'm not sure we all understand. We understand the numbers, but what does it look like? And if you change it, how's the effect? What's the effect on that? So we want to work on that, and we have some cooperation from our developer partners in this. So for a conclusion there, that one also, the condition. Remember, this is an SE, so there's conditions. These aren't voluntary proffers. These are conditions that the staff places on the sign. So those are very important that we get those written right. So, I mean, in the end of the world, I think we'll hear the public testimony, and maybe I shouldn't go too far here, but I don't think the Marriott is consistent with the zoning ordinance. I don't think it's consistent with the intent. It may meet all this NIT standards, even with the change that's proposed. I think we ought to spend some time on that. And I think it's not in compliance with the comp plan, the dark sky notion. It's a sign that's way up high, and so it does obscure and affect the dark skies in the area. And it's a departure from the commercial signs along the corridor, which I don't think we should start doing. So that was a lot of non-questions and more statements.
Those were more statements. Do you have any questions?
But no, I don't have any questions beyond that. I am interested in what kind. I would like to see what the difference is. What is the difference between what was approved, which basically was the 300 nits, versus what the staff may be including in the But what will we see that's going to be different? I know what's out there, but what I don't know is what will be changed. How would we ferret that out? How would we understand what the difference is between 300 nits and 150 nits? I get the numbers. What I don't get is the actual brightness and what it looks like.
So I've taken a lot of time over the last couple of weeks to understand nits and what they are and how they're measured and by whom they're measured. And I can speak to that if people want some non-professional
So if
sort of data dumps on
Commissioner,
it.
were you addressing that to the staff or to the applicant?
Well, I think
or
the
either?
applicant first. I don't know that.
Okay, please.
Unless the staff feels
Ms.
like
Parks,
it.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can speak to sort of why it's not an easy answer. There's not sort of a number at the end of that. And until we sort of change the nits and reprogram the software, and right now it meets the 300 nit level in the zoning ordinance and the permits. And once the development conditions are imposed and the case is approved, it'll meet the 155. I can explain how that happens if you want me to. But
Do we know this? Do we know if you go from 300 to 150, it's half as bright as it is today? Or is it an exponential difference?
So let me
Maybe that's
take
the question,
2
but we
seconds.
don't
Let me
have an
take 2
answer
seconds
tonight.
to try to explain how it all works. So nits are measured on this is my understanding only. Nits are measured on a per meter basis. So there's not a nit calculation for the whole sign. They're measured per meter. And so the way that you get the measurement is you basically put a white sign on the whole screen, and that represents 100% of the nit capacity of that screen, right? That's where you start. And then you determine from there the percentage of full LED output that the software permits. So if the sign with one big white screen is 100%, chances are that what the software is pushing is closer to 10%. So that's number 2. And then, because we're displaying a static image here and not one color, right, you have to analyze the actual image that's being displayed, and you have to determine what its brightness is. Its actual picture level is what it's called. And then you take the percentage output, that sort of 10%, you multiply it by the APL, and that's where you get your
APL,
nits.
APL stands for?
Actual picture limit.
Okay.
The bottom line, in layman's terms, my understanding is this: because it's measured, on a per meter, per panel basis, it's an average of, all of the parts of that screen that are black or dark gray or a little bit lighter gray. Those are all one metric, right? And that is all factored in and averaged with the portions that are white that have the JW logo on them. And then all of that together is put into this software and, calculated. But there's a lot of variables that you can't plan for. Like the darker the background, the lower the overall average nits will be, because you're averaging, a darker, less sort of bright numeral with the white letters. It depends on who's measuring, from where they're taking the measurements, at what angle are they taking the measurements, what time of day are they taking the measurements. So it's not, I'm not trying to hide anything. I can't give you, this is what it looks like. I can tell you that when we measure, it will meet the standards that we're required to meet. Today, the zoning ordinance and the permit at 300. Tomorrow, if you approve this case, the 155.
So is that what it is today, 300? Is that what we're looking at today, if you're out there?
It's at or below 300. Yeah.
Just for a point of reference, of what we're looking at tonight is 750. If your computer screen is often at 750.
750?
So, yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that number is. 750.
Yeah, and it varies per, as Jill
It's not
Parks is saying.
It's not 750. Oh, a computer screen. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm like, the sign is not 750.
No, what
Okay.
we're looking here at the commissioner. So I don't know if that helps, but whether it's 300 or what it is, it's too high today. Would be anyway. But let's let other
Let me
commissioners
just interject for 1
at this.
second and just ask Ms. Quinn. This obviously sounds like a complicated set of calculations, and to some extent, it is determined by subjectivity in terms of placement of the individual, how it's being viewed and how it's being calculated. Do we have the capability to do that kind of measurement?
I can check with ZAD and DCC and get back to you on how we do that. I mean, the other thing that the applicant can do is they can just go out and reduce the sign to 155 nits and then come back and show the Planning Commission and the community what that looks like, because the sign's already installed.
That is a possibility, I guess. That's just I want to have that clarified in terms of our own capability. Any other questions?
I'm sorry, can I just add to that really quickly? Because I think I do know how the county can check, if that's okay.
Sure, Ms. Parks.
So the two ways that you can measure is what I just described. Obviously, the county doesn't have the capability doesn't have that software. So the other approach is to use something called a luminance meter, which you'd have an inspector go out to the property and they would take measurements from different portions of the sign over the course of a day and average it out and come out with a number. That number is also imprecise. There's also a number of variables, and there, sort of the personal proclivities of the inspector really come more into play, because it really is about timing and what is, because it's a static image. It's not one color, so it's about timing and angle and placement and what the weather is that day, right? Like that, all of that factors in. But my understanding is that that's the county's method for measuring and checking.
All right.
And
Thank you.
Okay.
Turn to my commissioners. Commissioner Bennett. Anyone else on? Commissioner Clark and Cortina. Go ahead, Commissioner.
So this is a question for staff. I think that we all had some concerns about these digital signs. I grew up in Houston. We have zero sign zoning ordinance, and it's the Wild West of signs in Houston. If you've ever driven on I-10, I-45, it's something else. And recently, there is a digital sign near the Beltway, and it was shocking to see how bright it was, and it felt like it wasn't wayfinding anymore, but more advertising. And so my question is, I know we were talking about development conditions. What are the remedies if we find, or there are complaints, that the applicant is not living up to those conditions?
DCC could go out and investigate, and if they're in violation, they can issue a notice of violation to bring them into compliance with the conditions.
You used an acronym, would you?
Oh, Department of Code Compliance.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner,
okay.
Sorry, Commissioner Bennett, was that the sign at Tyson's Corner?
Yes.
That you were referencing? Okay. That one has a nighttime nit level of 1,250. So that is a bit brighter than the sign here that we're reducing with the development conditions.
It's more that it was a little distracting because, again, I thought it was meant to be more wayfinding, and I've seen images on that sign that are less wayfinding. So.
Hey, Commissioner Clark, Cortina, Spain.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I'm surprised we don't have a NITS czar to help us with this. So, question for staff, the visibility of this sign from the toll road, a few times, traveling, and you got the sun setting in the west and rising in the east as you're traveling, right? Does that come into play with the distraction of the sign at all to the drivers?
I don't think it should. The way that the condition is worded is that it has to be reduced at dusk, and that also they have to time it to the seasons. So as you go from like winter, fall, and the dusk changes, so will the sign. It'll be timed to the weather, the seasons.
And the tenant's name, that's the only thing that would be displayed on the sign is the tenants.
Yeah, we would make them have it look like what was approved on the sign permit. Mm-hmm. So if the booth could share the screen, it would be the image in the center where it has like that gray background with the JW Marriott logo.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're not trying to turn Reston into Vegas. You know, that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cortina, and then Spain.
Thank you, Chairman. So I have a question for staff. The U.S. Supreme Court said that localities could only regulate signs based on time, manner, and place. And so we have a digital sign that's up on top of this building that includes a smaller than the full sign logo that they have been now asked to limit the logo to a particular size within the sign. And I am wondering, number one, is that a problem from a legal perspective down the road? Should they want to challenge this? Have you spoken to the legal counsel about this?
The Office of the County Attorney did think that staff and the county in general had the capability to regulate the size of where things could go on the digital panel. So that 240 square feet, they did think that we had the ability to regulate that, just the size of it.
And I guess this goes for the D1 sign as well, because now that to me looks like a billboard along the toll road. And, there have been many factors whenever there has been development. I've been excited to see the changes at this development, no doubt, but I also see changes where, lots of trees come down along the toll road and signs go up on buildings. And now, to me, it looks like a billboard. So the same question applies. Like any local government cannot say, well, this is a sign that can only display a logo, because we cannot say what the content should be. We have to be content neutral. So again, the same question about that, and this is for staff, and then if you'd like to respond.
Yeah, I think it's the same answer as well, that the Office of the County Attorney did think that we had the ability to regulate just basically the 200 square foot box that it would be located in. Now, I think the wording in the condition says it could be text, content, logos. Like it specifically broadens the language in the condition. Yeah.
Okay, and that's for the D1 sign,
that's for
as I call the billboard.
The D1 and the Marriott sign as well.
Okay, well, if they think that can be ratcheted down, and the development condition by the applicant, it is something that you're agreeing to, then that does help with that question. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that in the plans themselves, we self-imposed a lot of other restrictions, just talking about the toll road sign for right now. So there's like 2 or 3 paragraphs, and we can actually flash them up, which go to further restrict what can happen on that sign. And those were self-imposed by us. So they were not imposed by the county. So I don't think that there would be a problem sort of enforcing those conditions. Yeah, here they are. So what you're seeing in front of you is actually in the sign plan, and you can see, right, it says the first bunch of conditions relate to the signs on office building 2 and 3. The last bunch relate to these particular digital signs, and they're very, very, very specific, and that was done by us. So I don't think you'll have a problem on enforcement. The other thing I just want to say is I know there are objections to the way that the sign works or the way it looks. And I know I've heard the comment billboard before. I do want to say that it's already approved. The connector itself, the 5 logos on the sign itself, the only thing that's changing is that it'll be digital so that if and when and as tenants move in and out, we can just change their logos more efficiently without having to go get totally new fabrication of signs out there. But the idea is not for that to be anything like the Tyson's Corner Center sign, which does have advertising and does have video, and this is not that at all. This is just to facilitate these tenants having their logos on the screen as in if they tenant the property. That's it.
Just a follow-on question for staff. Just like we did with Tyson's, and even though I did not agree with VDOT's determination, did you check with Department of Transportation, the State Department, which has to look at, I mean, I don't understand how we have these no billboard laws and they never seem to see anything as a billboard, but that's more of a comment. But the question is, did you check with them?
Yes, VDOT did think that it would construe as a billboard, but as we looked into it a bit deeper, we don't necessarily agree with that.
Wait, so do we have a letter from VDOT that says that this is a billboard? And
it's in Appendix 6 of the staff report. I missed that.
Okay. And what does that letter say?
I'll quote it. It says, "The large billboard facing the Dulles Toll Road is not in compliance with the outdoor advertising regulations. It is not supported with this application and no billboards are supported for this location. The applicant needs to find another treatment for the area where they keep proposing signs because none meet the outdoor advertising regulations, and VDOT does not want to lose federal funding due to outdoor advertising violations. The static angle views do not consider the entire 180 degrees views of the south side of the building visible from the Dulles Toll Road."
Well, that sounds like a concern.
Can I respond to that one as well? I heard Katie say that staff does not agree with that determination. I also don't, for whatever it's worth to you all, agree with that determination. I did a full analysis of the advertising regulations under the state code, and what they require is that the text change no more frequently than every 4 seconds. That's what it requires. We're changing it. We're asking to change it once a day, so it's not even remotely. We're well within the regulations.
Staff, this follow-up to staff. Was VDOT aware of the applicant's proposal when they issued this letter?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Spain, and then Hancock.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So I'm a little bit perplexed here. I've lived in both Delaware and New York, and those are some serious billboard signs. But irregardless, there is a concern from the community that the lighting on these signs is contributing significantly to light pollution. How are we addressing that concern for the neighborhood? The night sky, the light pollution, and I did not read this, but I was wondering if it would affect the safety of the drivers, distracting the drivers as they are going up and down the Dulles Toll Road. So how are we addressing that moving forward? Staff, please.
For just this application or more broadly?
For this particular application, because when I've dealt with signs for my other applications in the Sully District, we're always concerned about it illuminating too bright for the neighbors in the neighborhood. And so we've had a number of, from what I've read, there have been a number of comments from our constituents, our neighbors in Reston, who say that this is contributing significantly to light pollution, impairing their ability to the night light, to see the stars. So how are we taking that are we taking those concerns into consideration moving forward with the lessening of the nits that that has been suggested as a development condition?
I don't know that we reviewed it specifically for a night sky, a black night, dark sky standards.
Dark sky, excuse me.
We just did the nit reduction to get it lower at nighttime.
So my question is, by lowering the nit levels, will that in fact satisfy, how will we know that it is not imposing or causing issues with the neighbors in regards to light pollution and how it's affecting their ability to, I guess, sleep, bring down the shades, I don't know, but it is affecting them. So how will we get some feedback on as to know that the changing of the nits, lowering of the nits, will accomplish some of the concerns that are being brought forth by the constituents, by the residents of Reston?
Commissioner Marriott with the Department of Planning and Development. I think what Katie had said earlier, if the applicant could demonstrate what 155 nits looks like up there, that may show, staff and the neighbors what that would look like illuminated at night to see what the impact would be. And the reason why staff had proposed 155 nits was it was consistent with what the zoning ordinance already allows for freestanding signs. There's no nit level for building mounted, but we do have a nit level regulated in the zoning ordinance for freestanding signs. And so, 155 was consistent with that, and that's the reason why we ended up at 155 nits.
Okay, I appreciate that follow-up. Will there be some follow-up with the residents to validate or verify that the reduction in fact, has made a significant difference?
Commissioner, can I just ask the applicant to respond to the suggestion that a pilot or a demonstration be accomplished? Is that possible?
Honestly, that's something I'd have to run off the flagpole with my client. I don't think I can say that here. I mean, personally, honestly, I'm reluctant. Without having an approval of the special exception, kind of in hand. I mean, I think what we're talking about here is there's some signs that we already have approvals for, right, that are up and installed and operational. There are new signs that we're asking for, and we're presenting to you a deal, right? We'll lower the nits on the sign that we have that's already been approved, and in exchange for that, you'll consider these other signs that we've deemed are critical, to this neighborhood. I'm concerned that without that approval, if we lower to the 155 and the staff and the community, is really responsive, or maybe they want it even lower than that, then, the deal just kind of goes out of balance. Like, what we're trying to achieve here is something that we all can live with. Nobody, I understand, is going to be super, super happy, but we're talking about a reduction almost in half from what's up there now.
But we don't really understand what the implications of that really are,
right?
Which is what the demonstration would accomplish.
I understand.
So, Commissioners, I interjected, Commissioner Spain.
No, thank you for asking the applicant. I would like for us to go a little further, to be good neighbors with our community and allow that demonstration. It's similar to me because we have a lot of controversial concerns. So when we do the balloon test, for our buildings, we show this to our community, whether they agree or not, but we do show that, we've demonstrated that it won't impact your visualization of the centers. Whether they agree or not, we've provided them information that shows that it will not impact them. So I'm just asking if we could maybe think about allowing some sort of demonstration to validate what the reduction would look like and how it could or could not satisfy the neighborhoods. I'm just asking if that is a possibility that we might consider.
I can promise that I'll talk to my client.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hancock.
Yeah, thank you. We've learned a lot about other signage. First, I do want to say I appreciate that there's some consideration for this other sign. Candidly, it is a little challenging to hear you recognize that the light is a problem, but it's only going to be solved if we can do it in totality, but appreciate the conversation. I want to talk about the sign. I did have the similar reaction to Commissioner Cortina, because we've had this learning from other signage. I think you had mentioned 200 square feet for other logos. These proposed development conditions mention 240.28, which is a very specific number. If you could talk to how we got to that.
Sure. So those are two different signs. The signs that are limited to 200 square feet are the signs that are approved for the Dulles Toll Road frontage. The sign that is 240 square feet, that's the sign on the JW Marriott Hotel, and that's the size of the letters and the logo, and that's what's in the permits today, and that's what's going to be reaffirmed with this case.
I think we do have to be careful here, because I take you at your word that the intention here is for a few logos. I don't read that's what the development conditions say. I don't know whether we can limit that or not. I do think that if this moves forward, that 3B probably needs a little bit of work. I read this, I could read this potentially a few ways. It could be that all of the logos have to be 240 square feet. It could be that a single letter is 240 square feet. So I would like to see some clarity if this moves forward, but appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else? Hearing no one else, this is a public hearing. We do have two listed speakers, and I'm going to ask the two speakers to come down to the podium, be ready to step up as soon as the first is finished. We have Mr. Travis Johnson, who's the president and board of directors of the Reston Association. Mr. Johnson, if you would come on down, appreciate it. And then we also have Lynn Molston, president of the Reston Citizens Association. Ms. Molston, if you would just come down and be ready to step up to the podium, we'd appreciate it. Mr. Johnson, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Great. So
I'm going to raise this up just a little bit for you.
I really appreciate that.
So you don't have to lean down. There we go.
My back thanks you. So good evening to the chair and commissioners. I'm Travis Johnson, and as the chair said, I am president of the Reston Association Board of Directors. Though tonight I'm going to be representing myself as an individual not of the 65,000 residents of the community. My goal tonight is to express strong opposition to the proposal to amend the current signage at 1900 Reston Metro Plaza at the JW Marriott. Since its installation, the neighbors have reported that the existing sign at the top of the Marriott creates a very intense light that infiltrates homes at all hours. I can tell you from my own personal experience that at night the light is so bright that you can easily see it as far away as the intersection of Twin Branches and Lawyers, which is about 2 miles away. And just to go off script, I'm a little stunned that knowing that the light is so bright, that the applicant would suggest that they will only reduce the light if the plan is approved. That sounds a little like arm twisting to me and doesn't sound like they're trying to be good neighbors, especially since the permits that were given for the existing light were, as stated by staff this evening, given by mistake. And now they want to add what really is essentially 5 more signs. These signs will directly not only face the Dulles Toll Road traffic, but also the RA members in the South Reston area. I am one of those residents in South Reston, and the thought of even more light spilling into our neighborhoods is just appalling to me. And not just to me. Reston Association's Environmental Advisory Committee actively monitors light pollution with the goal of preserving the natural night environment. The committee's biennial State of the Environment report lists light pollution as a fair but concerning issue, and that was before the first sign was installed. Introducing a second, larger digital sign would intensify the light spillover to neighboring homes and further degrade our important natural and residential areas. While this site is not officially a member of the Reston Association, this site is not a member of the Reston Association, the impact of the light issues extend directly into the surrounding Reston community. It affects our members' health, well-being, and the environmental quality. I urge the Commission to deny this application to prevent further degradation of light conditions that already exceed acceptable levels. In doing so, you will be supporting not only the physical and mental health of our residents, but also preserving the character and environmental integrity that define Reston. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Lynn Molston, representing the Reston Citizens Association. Welcome, Ms. Molston.
Sorry. Thanks for the note taking. Good evening, Chairman Nadelsky-Eichner, Commissioner Carter, and Planning Commissioners. Happy New Year. My name is Lynn Molston, and I have to say that Reston Citizens Association has received numerous complaints from citizens, primarily on the south side of Reston, complaining about the digital signage atop the new JW Marriott building. It is understood that Comstock received approval of sign plan CSP 2016 HM035 in June of 2022. The approved sign plan showed a building-mounted sign on the JW Marriott building, not a digital sign. However, in late 2024, Comstock applied for and received an administrative sign permit, Z-Sign 2024-00671, allowing the digital sign. Some of the information presented in the sign permit application, such as the measurement methodology, was consistent with the review procedure for a building-mounted sign. Other aspects of the application indeed specified that the application was for a digital sign. Ultimately, an error occurred in the review process, and an administrative permit was granted for a digital rather than a wall-mounted sign, and for a larger digital sign than would otherwise be allowed. While a permit for the digital sign was issued in error, it may still be possible for the community to influence the sign's parameters going forward. Comstock now seeks approval of an amended sign plan, which is before you tonight, from the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors that covers all signage for Reston Row, including the new digital sign. While the sign plan amendment cannot overrule the approved permit, the special exception process now underway could present an opportunity to address community concerns, including through possible refinements to the application or through development conditions. The sign's nighttime brightness is one area where additional limitations could potentially be included. The approved sign limits nighttime brightness to 300 nits, the maximum under zoning ordinance, while the sign plan amendment application would limit nighttime brightness to 155, which we have heard tonight. Some community members have asked for a further reduction in or elimination of nighttime brightness. Other issues, such as whether the sign is dynamic, as it was when first turned on, like a rolling billboard, or static, could potentially be addressed as well. Reston's dark sky-oriented lighting practices mainly reduce light pollution, protect ecosystems, improve health and safety, and save energy and money. These benefits line up with broader Fairfax County dark sky goals that apply in and around Reston. So let's look at what dark sky lighting means locally. Fairfax County and the Park Authority promote dark sky or sky-friendly lighting, fully shielded fixtures, warm color light, and only as bright and on as long as needed. The county explicitly links these practices to limiting glare, light trespass, and wasteful overlighting in neighborhoods and parks, including areas near Reston. Let's look at some of the environmental and wildlife benefits. Dark sky lighting helps preserve natural nighttime conditions that many plants and animals need for migration, breeding, feeding, and navigation. Reducing artificial light at night near ecologically sensitive parks and open space, a major feature of Reston, lessens disruption to local habitat and supports more biodiversity. Let's look at human health, sleep, and quality of life. Limiting bright, blue-rich light at night reduces circadian disruption and supports better sleep, which prevents immune, cardiovascular, and mental health condition. Dark sky lighting encourages warmer, dimmer light that promotes relaxation and helps maintain normal melatonin production in the evening. A few points on safety, comfort, and neighborhood character. Properly shielded, right-sized lighting reduces harsh glare that can actually make it harder for drivers and pedestrians to see clearly at night. Avoiding overlighting cuts down on light trespass into neighboring homes, improving privacy, and preserving Reston's intended village-in-the-woods character after dark. And finally, a few economic and climate benefits. Dark sky practices cut wasted light and therefore wasted electricity, lowering energy costs and associated greenhouse gas emissions for households, businesses, and public facilities. In dark sky destinations, improved night skies can support stargazing, astronomy programs, and nature-based tourism. Fairfax County notes that night sky-friendly lighting offers broader economic value alongside environmental gains. I'm going to add something that is not in my script, but I do have time because I timed myself, and I will advise the Planning Commission that the applicant made a presentation to Reston Planning and Zoning Committee. This was at the recommendation or the request of Supervisor Alcorn. And I will report that Reston Planning and Zoning did approve the amendment that Ms. Parks presented with the exclusion of the digital D1 sign, the billboard. So Reston Citizens Association requests that the Planning Commission deny any special exceptions or amendments requested by the applicant for Reston Row until such time that the applicant can demonstrate adherence and show respect for Reston's planning principles and design guidelines. Further, Fairfax County staff should adhere to the decisions of the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors. But if you opt to vote in favor of this sign plan amendment, please adopt the plan without the proposed digital sign D1 as voted by Reston Planning and Zoning, and ensure that it includes a dimming of the JW Marriott sign at night or turning it off completely during late evening and early morning hours when it's dark. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Molson is our last listed speaker. Is there anyone in the auditorium who wishes to speak to this application? Sir, if you would come down and introduce yourself. Sir, I'm going to ask you, when you're finished with your 3 minutes, would you go over to our clerk and provide her your name and information? Thank you. And is there anyone else who's here to speak?
I'm sorry.
Just 1 second, sir.
Okay.
Anyone else, if you're planning to speak, would you please come down and be ready to step up to the podium when the previous speaker is completed? I'd appreciate it very much. Yeah, sir, welcome.
Good evening. My name is Bill Burton. I am president of the Analemma Society, which is an astronomy club that works with the Fairfax County Park Authority to run Observatory Park at Turner Farm. which provides educational opportunities and scientific enrichment for the citizens of Fairfax County. As astronomers, we are naturally concerned about the steady encroachment of light pollution. It impacts our work with the public and the research telescope that we're installing at the facility at this time. And I appreciate this evening all the comments about the negative effects of light pollution and the benefits of lowering light pollution. I do want to emphasize that we've been talking a lot about the luminosity of the sign tonight, but also the spectrum of the light, the blue-white nature of it, being a shorter wavelength that will travel farther into people's windows. So it's not only too bright, but it's also what's called the correlated color temperature is too high, almost certainly above 3,000 Kelvin. So not only should we consider lowering the luminosity of the light, but we should give it a warmer color, as Lynn says, which means something ideally 2,700 Kelvin or below, but not the blue-white light, which travels the farthest of, in the spectrum. I'm also a committee member in the Northern Virginia Bird Alliance, and they have a program called Lights Out for Birds. The county supervisors unanimously approved a pledge for everyone to follow. That pledge includes turning lights off during periods of migration at the spring and fall. I mean, it's not a binding thing, but that's another thing too that can be thought about, with this sign. So that's three things: lower the total luminosity, lower the correlated color temperature below 3,000 Kelvin, and then during periods of spring and fall migration, turn them off completely. We will have monitors out there at that building to see if any birds are impacted by this during these times, and this is a common practice in cities with skyscrapers. They collect the dead birds and keep track of that impact. So I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker, if you come to the podium, please. Sir, could you come back down, please? Commissioner Carter?
Yeah, just...
No, I'm sorry, sir. Commissioner Carter would like you to answer a question he had.
Yes.
Come over to the podium, please. And ma'am, I'm sorry for you're up and down.
I was curious whether you have any examples of these demonstration projects that would demonstrate the different levels, whether it's color. Well, color I think is easy, but the different brightness. Do you have any examples, since we seem to be looking for that?
Well, I would just say, yellow to orange, amber.
Yeah, those I get the color aspect. I get the color, but it's the brightness that is hard to gauge without a demonstration.
Yeah.
Do you have any examples of that?
Well,
maybe not.
I can get a sky quality meter, but it's different. That's very general averaging. I do not have a specific spectrometer. That what you need is something you can aim specifically at that light to measure the color temperature.
No, what I was looking for is maybe somebody else has done a demonstration project so we could see what's 100 nits, what's 200 nits, what's 300 nits.
I don't know. I think that's a good question.
Okay, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. If you sign up there, thank you. Yes, ma'am, please come forward. I'm going to lower this a little bit.
Oh, thank you so much.
If you'd introduce yourself.
I'm Julie Bitzer, and I live 0.7 miles from the Reston Metro Center. My neighbors and I enjoyed the value and treasure the tree canopy that exists in Reston, not only with our open space, but of the Reston National Golf Course. And our properties adjoin that tree canopy. We treasure the dark skies. Even with the tree canopy full out, from the back of my house, from my bedroom, my living room, dining room, I can see the JW Marriott sign. I can see the Google buildings and neon tubes. as they change colors for the seasons. My concern is that there's a precedence that's been set by the existing JW Marriott sign. I don't know how it got through, but it got through. What assurance does my neighborhood have that there will be any consideration to the community and the impact on our quality of life, our quality and quantity of sleep, which is so very important? My next door neighbor wrote me a note this afternoon that his elementary school daughter said to her dad, "I can't sleep, Dad, the light's too bright," from the Marriott sign. Now, that's pretty bad, that we have to think in terms of getting darkening curtains and shades because of a Marriott sign. And for you to say to me, well, the new signs are going to be lower and you're not going to see that, I assure you I will see that. I assure you my neighbors will see that. So my question to you all is, what assurance does the community have that consideration will be given to the light, the looms, the hours of operation, etc.? So thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please. Good evening.
Hello. My name is Michelle Evans, a resident of South Reston.
I'm going to bring this up a little bit.
Thank you.
And if you'd step closer to the microphone so we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
My name is Michelle Evans. I'm a resident of South Reston, and this building is directly in my line of view. You walk into my condo, and there's a sliding glass door, and this building is right in the middle. I'm about just over a mile from Reston Station. And the two main picture windows in my condo are the sliding glass door of the living room and the master bedroom picture window. And these are, it's like the windows are frames for this building that is now there. And the light is incredibly bright at night. And I think these all are very valid points that have been brought up, especially with the color of the light being that more blue and not more of a yellow or an orange, because it is very common with dark sky communities is that they have to be a yellow or an orange hue to keep your eyes adjusted to the night sky. And we read these studies in the news these days about, less screen time, less blue light, put your phones down before you go to bed at night to be able to sleep. And here's this light shining 24/7 right out the window. And it's very disturbing. And I think that this whole nits measurement is a bunch of crap that none of us understand. And to think about approving this application that is just measuring these nits that none of us understand is irresponsible, and it's how we got to this point in the first place. And so unless this can be some further lockdown on the measurements of the brightness of the sky, the color of the light, the time of day, and how maybe it doesn't need to be on all night long. I have window shades that I put down, a fabric window shade that I put down in the master bedroom, and you can still see the light through it. And so I'm not sure that this application should be approved based on this thing of nits, because I don't understand what the 300 is. It doesn't mean that what's showing up there right now is maximizing that 300. It might already be at the 150, and it should be lower than that. And so unless this is further understood by the community and by you all, I don't think we should approve it.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have another speaker? No, this is, if you're not on the list, you can still speak. You have 3 minutes, though, ma'am. Okay. Do you want to speak? Sure. Please come down and introduce yourself. Once you're finished, if you'd sign up with the clerk, we'd appreciate it.
Sure.
Good evening.
I'm Sandra Laser, and I live on Lake Thoreau, which is within a mile of the Reston Station. And I have pictures that I've taken of this sign that clearly demonstrate how bright it is, and how I agree with this wonderful woman here who talked about, let's demonstrate what this is going to look like if it goes down to 155. Maybe it should go down to 100. Maybe it should be turned off at night. I think all those proposals should be considered, and we do need a demonstration so that a group of us in the community can go and see what this would look like, both at night. I have daytime pictures where it's bright that are disturbing. And so I'm really in favor of let's see what the demonstration would look like. 300 versus 155. Let's see what 100 would look like. And hopefully you'll all consider that.
Why don't you share your pictures with Commissioner Carter? He would enjoy those, I'm sure. And if you'll sign up, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this application? Seeing no one else in the auditorium, is there anyone on the phone?
Yes, we have a caller. Chaz Lush.
Sir, if you would introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi there. Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes, we're able to hear you. Thank you.
Awesome. I'll try to make it quick so other people have more time. I just wanted to say it concerns me that the developer was saying earlier how since they had this sign approved, they don't want to lower the nits at the demonstration until they get their other 5 signs approved. I just find that a strong arm tactic, and I don't think that's the best strategy to work well with the community. I think it's great you have all these people here concerned about the sign, so I think Marriott should try to embrace that. There's no one protesting. Everyone's embracing the hotel. Beautiful condos for sale, but let's try to make the sign a little nicer for people and, work with the community. I don't live near the sign, but I see it daily because I live in the area. And I just don't like when developers act like that. So I would highly recommend lowering the sign brightness and work with people. That's all I want to say.
Well, thank you very much for calling in. Is there anyone else on the phone?
There are no further callers.
Okay, thank you. Closing comments from staff? Ms. Quinn?
Yes, thank you. I will note that at Vallow Park, if you remember that building in Tyson's, when they came in with their CSP, staff did have a development condition that required their building-mounted signs facing McLean Hammett to be turned off at night. So that could be potentially an option here as well to consider, because we do have precedent of doing that in our urban areas.
Thank you, Ms. Quinn. Closing comments from the applicant, Ms. Parks?
Thank you. I wanted to respond to Ms. Molston's comments about the Planning and Zoning Committee. The Planning and Zoning Committee meeting, and I want to be clear that the Planning and Zoning Committee voted to approve all of the signs except the Dulles Toll Road sign, as she said, but they didn't vote to deny it. They voted to defer their decision on it pending additional information that they asked us for. What they asked us for was to prepare some video simulations and photographs of what that sign will look like. And we've done that. We have it in the PowerPoint. We're happy to share it with you. We are planning on going back to the Planning and Zoning Committee on the 26th to share with them this information that they requested, but they did not vote to reject the sign. Would you like us to put it up so people can see it? It's up to you.
If Commissioner Carter, have you seen these videos?
What's that?
Have you seen it? Why don't you go ahead? Yes, but if you have them, put them up.
It's going to roll right into it when my colleague does that, but yeah. Okay, it's fine. So this is what this sign will look like with all of the conditions that are in the development plan. I'm sorry, the special exception plan. We were asked to do them both during the day and at nighttime and from each direction on the toll road, so that's what we've done.
Once it passes the building,
you can put your microphone.
It's on the other side of the street. Yeah, see, it's on the left. You see the
see the black in the between the two right there. Oh, am I jumping it? Yeah, there's 5 or 6 of them total.
So you can see the sign up there to the corner. That's what it will look like. I mean, I think part of this, right, is that they are not that visible. Actually, it doesn't look like a billboard. It's not as bad as people are worried about. It's actually.
Is it festival?
It's actually rather subdued.
There you go. Thank you.
If we're having to hunt for it, you know, I think that demonstrates that it is actually toned down and quite subdued. You see it now up to the right.
It has a black background.
I'm sorry?
It has a black background.
It does. It's required, something I can say is it's required to have a black background. The actual structure is about 3,100 square feet. The only portion of it that's digital is an 1,800 square foot portion of that sign. Everything outside that 1,800 square feet, but within the 3,100, is going to be constructed with black metal panels that are not digital. Mm-hmm. So there's not a way for us to, you know, build the whole thing as a digital sign. Staff was concerned about that, and so our response was, well, we'll build half of it out of non-digital materials, so there's no concern that it will all be used digitally. And then within that 1,800 square feet, only 1,000 of it can have the signs, because there's 5 logos maximum, 200 feet maximum each. So ultimately, it's 1,000 square feet of signs on a 3,200 square foot structure. Okay. And this is what it will look like right in front of you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bachelor-Causey and then Commissioner Landgraf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just the impetus for the digital sign was to manage, I assume, rotation of tenants in the building. And this is the only digital sign that will be up, and it'll be in the lower kind of portion on the building. It won't be at the top.
Oh, no. This is, so there's currently this 3,200 square foot connector it's built and it's constructed and it's up. It's currently just black panels in between office buildings 2 and 3. It's specifically only on there.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Landgraf, and then Wang.
Yeah, so just to clarify, in that video that you were showing, you were just showing that center sign, right? But doesn't the display on the screen right now show that there's going to be these 7 or 12, almost, I guess 12, 11 smaller D1 sign types that weren't shown on that display?
Yes, sir. None of those signs can be digital. Those are all static signs. So they're... Yeah, they're on the sides, right, where they're shown, but...
So they're labeled as D1, which is the same thing as the digital sign, but they're not digital.
Correct. The reason that they're D1, it's a new nomenclature that we use because once we decided to do this whole sign plan for the entire neighborhood, all 17.5 square feet, right, we have tenants, important tenants at Reston Row that don't necessarily have occupied space in Reston Station adjacent to the toll road here. So the concept is to let us put tenant signage that might not be directly adjacent on the toll road on these signs. So like the JW Marriott, right, Booz Allen, they don't actually have occupied square footage in those buildings. So it's just the whole concept that we can kind of put any unique tenants that we want on that sign, and that only 5 of them are going to be digital, the ones you see specifically on that black connector.
And just one more point of clarification.
Sure.
So the bridge connector is 3,200 square feet. The actual display area is 1,800, but the total display would be no more than 1,000.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Wang.
Thank you. Question for the applicant. So a few of the speakers had noted that the color of the sign, the large Marriott sign, would impact the light pollution issue. How difficult or easy is it to change that color, and is that something you all would be amenable to?
I cannot speak to the light pollution issue, frankly, because I just don't understand it yet. But in terms of the nits that we've talked about earlier, if the screen was darker, right, black and less of the gray gradients that it is now, yes, that would overall reduce the nits of the sign.
Well, I'm talking more going from a blue color to the amber color that folks were mentioning. Is that possible and something you all would look into?
It's the first time it's been raised, but I'm happy to check with my clients.
Okay. And then the other issue was turning it off during certain hours at night. Is that something you all would look into or be amenable to?
Again, that's something that I'll have to take back and talk to my client about. I understand that people in the community, are not responding well to my statement that this is kind of it's an overall sign plan that we're asking for, that there's some give and take here, right? And I do think that we are. Oh, that's fine. We are being, sort of good community citizens and stewards, because we are coming to you asking, or agreeing to development conditions that will lower those nits from what they, already are and can be. I think that, and this is just me speaking though, there's a point at which Comstock may fairly choose to just go with what it has already, right? Because it does have a lease with JW Marriott. It does have obligations related to signage. I mean, it's out there in the market trying to lease these spaces, and you would be absolutely shocked by the fact that signage is the #1 biggest item that's negotiated. It is a deal breaker for every major corporate tenant that there is. It's not just us. You can see Boston Properties, signs are this way, right? They have the same sort of signs. Tyson's Corner has also digital signs. Capital One has also digital signs. For this caliber of project in a transit-oriented area, these signs are not unusual. And at some point, we become really non-competitive if we have to say that your signage is completely turned off at night. And there might be a point at which they say, it's just not worth it. Like, we'll just go with what we have, right? Whereas what we're presenting to you now represents, I think, a very reasonable compromise on our parts. But I'll take it to them and find out.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, if looking into the color hue of changing it to an amber color, in addition to the nits, would help resolve some of this, I think it'd be worth looking into. So,
okay.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Sargent, then Cortina.
This is a what if. The illustration, the examples of signage you just showed on those photos were at the very top of very tall buildings. This one that you're proposing, see, you've got them at the very top of the buildings. That's pretty typical.
For the JW, the simulations and videos we showed were for the toll road sign, so it's much, much lower. It's at the rail height.
That's what I'm getting at.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
The proposed sign that we're talking about is at a lower level, correct? Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's at the rail level.
And this is a question, because I'm by no means an expert. If you put some type of walling around those on the top and the sides to more narrow that, does that provide any benefit? Plus, I'm sure to lower the signage light a little bit at night too. Does that provide any buffering of light that doesn't spread out as much? It's a non-scientific, non-engineer question, but it seems one of the challenges is because that sign is so bright, you're also emanating a lot more light going not just straight ahead, but up and to the sides. And I'm wondering if some kind of shielding around those, as we've seen at other buildings elsewhere, might be useful in addition to whatever mitigation of brightness that we can do.
I'm not exactly sure what that is. I'd have to look into it. I can tell you that, when you're the rail station itself is right in front of it. So it's not, I don't know, if you put sort of blinders on the sides, you wouldn't see it at all because the rail station is right in front of it. So I'm not sure, but I don't know. I can look.
But I think you were referring to the JW Marriott sign?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Not the.
Wait a minute. Go back to the photo you just showed so we can clarify. I'm referring to the bridge.
That's not the JW
Oh, no,
Excuse me.
So, but there's not a brightness issue for this one, right?
But is there still a way of, on the signage we're talking about, still a way of limiting the emanation of light, not only by lowering the brightness, but by making the sign more compact in terms of light?
Well, to Commissioner Stelsky-Eichner's point, I don't think that there's a brightness issue here. It also has to be turned down at night. But in this location, you're on the toll road, right? There's tons of light everywhere. I don't think that this is out of harmony or even really noticeable when you're on the toll road.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a bit of a different standard than what we're talking about at the JW.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Cortina?
Okay, so if we could put up that sign again, that was just up, the illustration.
I'm sorry, the toll road sign or the JW sign?
So there was a picture of the D1 sign.
Yes.
This one, okay.
Got it.
So you are saying that the logos that you intend to put on there are ones that don't have any D1 sign type on this face?
So these signs are meant to be D1 signs. Like if you go back to the approval that we got for the neighborhood plan in 2022, we got 16 D1 signs approved across this whole facade, right? And they were never meant to be digital. They were never digital. What we're asking for is to take 5 of those same D1 signs and make them digital on this larger screen. I think the nomenclature is a little bit confusing, but
it was the
basically
12. In your sign plan, the before and after, it says 12. But what you just said a minute ago was that you wanted to offer this space because they might not face this direction, right?
I'm not sure what the 12 is, right? So there were 16 approved in the 2022 plan now. There's 16 now. 11 on the buildings 2 and 3, and 5 on the connector in the middle. Right, but staff considers it 12 because they're calling the connector one big sign with 5 logos. But the way that this whole thing was conceived is that each of the 5 logos on that sign are D1 signs also, and subject to the same restrictions as the other D1 signs, other than them being digital.
Really, my question was really with the number. It was those signs that are on the D1 sign. So those logos that you intend to display.
Yes.
They do not have on that same face facing the toll road, they won't have one of those D1 other signs because their offices are not on that side? Or please explain that again.
Sure. Whether or not they can have space on that sign depends on what the property is that is subject to the sign plan. When the sign plan went from being just Reston Station to Reston Station and Reston Row, and the boundaries of the plan are on all 17.5 acres, that means that anybody in those 17 acres can have their logo on the sign. That's why we did it that way.
So it's in effect advertising.
No, because they're in the project. It's just as much, wayfinding as anything else.
But they have a sign somewhere else in the project for their company.
Well, they have to be located within the property, within the project to have signage.
Right, and they will have a sign somewhere else. The Booz Allen sign will be somewhere else in the property and on this display.
The office buildings are also allowed to have office tenant signage, yes.
That's right, yeah.
But lots of tenants have multiple signs.
So this is extra signage. This is basically extra signage for the tenants that you choose, and you can put whichever ones you want on there at any time and sell the space, if you will, or whatever.
Sure.
You'll do.
I mean, if you want to, sure.
That's advertising.
It's not advertising. It's additional signage for marquee tenants within the project. Just the same way you can say, the retail tenants are allowed to have this sign, that sign, and the other sign, in this location, that location, or the other. The office tenants, the key office tenants, are allowed to have signage on the building and on the toll road. It's not advertised. I'm sorry, I disagree.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess if there is any opportunity for deferral in order to work some of these things out, I mean, I guess my question to staff is the concern that VDOT has raised and the risk. What is the risk that they're identifying, and why does staff not agree that we have this risk of how much money we potentially could lose from federal funds, which, and why we think that that really wouldn't happen, and I have concern about that.
Yeah, staff didn't necessarily agree with that because the regulations state that it's along an interstate highway, and we don't think the toll road is an interstate highway.
Oh, so that's the part of it. But we get federal funds for this tollway, as well as for the metro, for that matter, pretty significantly. I think there's another question, but I'll leave that to you.
Are you finished, Commissioner?
Well, it's a question that I have, yes.
But are you asking for an answer now or sometime
If
later?
there's a deferral, I'd prefer an answer that comes from VDOT or FCDOT. Thank you.
Commissioner Bashikowski?
I just want to say I do think that the Dulles Toll Road is federal because the airport access goes to, the toll road goes to the airport, Dulles Road, and so I do think that that makes it federal.
Well, we can speculate on that, but staff has been asked the question to provide that information, or asked to provide
I'll
that
clarify with VDOT.
Yeah. Anything else, Commissioners? I want to ask, or just I want to be clear about my own position on this. I support the box signage along the toll road, lower part of the building. I'm very concerned about the brightness of the JW Marriott sign. We're not experts. Staff apparently doesn't have expertise. Doesn't sound as if you have expertise. But we do know that sign companies do have the expertise. There's a commercial interest here. JW Marriott, Comcast. Speaking for myself, I fully support ensuring that the commercial interests are addressed effectively. But it does seem to me that it is appropriate for JW Marriott, Comstock.
I knew you meant.
I blame my age on that one. There's ability to address the concerns. It seems to me the sign companies are experts at this. The softer lighting, the brightness, and JW Marriott's own commercial interests. Those things should all be taken into account. I'm fully supportive of taking those things into account. But let's do it. Let's do this as an opportunity to address what is, to me, a very obvious problem. It's too bright. And the type of lighting is not the right lighting for the circumstances in which this building is located. Reston is a dark sky community for all intents and purposes, and we ought to respect that. Despite the fact that we as a county have apparently made some, what I consider pretty serious mistakes. I would think that Comstock, JW Marriott would want to be good neighbors, all at the same time protecting their commercial interest. And I'm going to respect that. But that's where I'm standing on this issue right now.
Can I make one final point?
One final point, and then we're going to move on.
Last point, and then I'm happy to sit down. I think we agree. I think we absolutely agree. We hear the community's concerns. We hear them. I think it's just the difference here is a matter of degree. We thought and believed that lowering it in half, from 300 to 155, almost in half, does exactly what you said, is responsive, lowers the brightness, goes back to a more night sky environment.
Ms. Parks, I hear you. The reality is we don't know. Is it an exponential difference? Is it a simple matter of coming down half the brightness? We don't know. We haven't heard from you that you know exactly. So we need to hear from Comstock and JW Marriott in relation to the sign company's own expertise is what can be done to make the lighting satisfy commercial interests, which I support, but at the same time addresses what, in my view, is an oversight on our part, but certainly one I would think that Comstock and JW Marriott would like to correct. And if 155 nits is the right, we need to have some assurance that that's the case.
Understood.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'll now close the public hearing and recognize Commissioner Carter for a motion.
Okay, since we're just moving forward tonight, no, maybe not. I tell you where I started here. I think this is not just a Reston issue. This is a countywide issue. Certainly the toll road and the Beltway are major highways. Sound like there may be some federal funding issues. So we need to get this right, is my issue. Frankly, I'm a little less concerned about the view from the toll road. I think the lower D1 sign, it needs some work too, but it is the tall Marriott sign. And I'll just tell you where I started was to turn it off, to turn off the background at all, just like the D1 sign is, and that's what that is. Now, is that going too far? Well, I don't know. I accept that challenge for now, and I see Jill Parks looking at me. But let's see. So the motion is, well, as part of this, I also want to say it is unacceptable right now. So I would think this is a special exception. There's a reason it's a special exception. We're required to make judgments on these things. It's not a by right issue. So I just from where I sit, what we have today, particularly the Marriott sign, a little less so the one that's on the toll road. In fact, some of these are hardly visible from the toll road. That bridge that goes across to get to the metro station blocks the lower signs dramatically. And it's only coming from Tyson's that you see that. You don't see these quite so much coming from Dulles the other way. Anyway, having said all that, the motion is I move to defer the decision only for SE 2025-HM-0001 to January 28th, 2026, or the next appropriate date with the record remaining open.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I have a question of Ms. Quinn. My understanding is that this is scheduled to be heard by the board on the 3rd of February. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the first week of February.
Yes.
And so by virtue of that deferral, it would mean that there would be no, it would have to be heard, it'd have to be resolved that night, or the board would have to move its hearing date.
That's right.
Okay. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that.
The other aspect of that, which I forgot to mention, is that Reston Planning and Zoning is planning on reviewing this again on the 26th. I believe that. So we'll get feedback from the Reston Planning and Zoning. And I do hope we come up with a demonstration, even if it's in the abstract. Somebody just shows us what the difference is. But frankly, where I started is to turn this dark background completely, just like the D1 sign is. Whether we can go that far, I don't know. I guess we'll just see if the 155 or some version of that works. So that's
Is there any other discussion of the motion? So the motion's on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstention? That motion carries.